Episode number 879. It's a small world after all.
You're listening to the official BNI podcast with BNI founder and Chief Visionary Officer, Dr. Ivan Misner. Stay tuned for networking and referral marketing tips from the man who's been called the father of modern networking, along with suggestions and insights into getting the most from your membership in the world's largest networking organization, BNI.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the official BNI podcast. I'm Priscilla Rice, and I'm coming to you from Live Oak Recording Studio in Berkeley, California, and I'm joined on the phone today by the founder and the Chief Visionary Officer of BNI, Dr. Ivan Misner. Hello, Ivan. How are you, and where are you?
I am still in Austin. However, I'm headed soon to the Caribbean for a BNI cruise membership drive in the United States. We have huge number of members who won the cruise, and I'll be in the Caribbean for a few days, and then Miami for a BNI event.
Okay, that sounds great.
Yeah.
So what's this podcast?
Yeah. So the title sounds a little bit like a Disney song, right, Priscilla?
Oh my God.
And I know you love this song. So would you like to sing it?
I hate this actual ride in Disneyland. I got stuck on it once, and I heard that song so many times I wanted to, whatever. But
kids love it, that's for sure. But it is kind of a true statement. It is a small world. Even decades after founding and running BNI, I'm still impressed at the fact that the world can be so small sometimes. So I'm going to share a fun story from a few years ago, and I'm changing the names for privacy, but it's an absolute true story. I had done a BNI leadership team training here in Austin, even though I was kind of living between LA and Austin at the time. And the training it went well. I met lots of fantastic members and directors. And a few months later, I was back in the LA area at my California office. And at the time I had a house for sale in the LA community of Claremont. And there was a problem. I had a neighbor who was burglarized, and my house had a security camera outside, which hopefully, and in fact did, may have recorded some helpful information for the police. So I got a phone call from the Claremont Police Department, but I couldn't take the call as it came in. So my assistant gave me the message and the phone number. Well, I had just recently, because I was transitioning from California to Austin, I had recently gotten a new mobile phone number with an Austin, Texas area code. And without thinking, I picked up my mobile phone and I dialed the number for the Claremont Police Department in California to return their call. The thing is, I didn't put in the area code for California. I just dialed the number. So, and for Austin, the area code's 512. In California, it was 909. So I inadvertently dialed the number with a 5012 area code because I didn't put in the area code. So someone answered the phone. And I said, "Hi, this is Ivan Misner." And I thought, wait a minute. He said, "Hello." He didn't say Claremont Police. I said, "I'm sorry. Is this the Claremont Police Department?" And then he said, "Ivan? Ivan Misner? Dr. Misner with BNI?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm guessing this isn't the Claremont Police Department." And he said, "No, this is Frank Davis. I'm a BNI member in Austin." Okay.
Great.
There are over 1 million people in the Austin area. What are the chances that I would have connected with one of the hundreds and hundreds of BNI members out of the 1 million people in the Austin area? And yet I had indeed called a BNI member because I didn't use the Claremont area code, and I had a new Austin telephone number. So I got him. And it turned out that I had just happened to have met him a few weeks earlier.
Oh, wow. That's so funny.
Because he was at the training.
Oh, wow.
And he told me we actually, it was a few months. He said, "We met a few months ago at the leadership team training that you did." And I thought, oh my goodness, this is amazing. And then of course I had to explain, I had to explain to him why I was calling him and why I thought It was the Claremont, California Police Department. And he laughed. He happened to be an attorney, and he laughed and he thought it was funny. And I got to say, it was funny also because he turned it into an inspired BNI one-to-one meeting idea. He said, gosh, this would be really great to have a one-to-one with you. And since you called me, and let's talk and let's meet. And how could I possibly say no, right? I mean, with hundreds of thousands of members, the only time I do one-to-ones now is on Founders Day, which is the last Thursday of June every year. And I do a whole day of one-to-ones with BNI members. But I thought, geez, I can't say no to this guy. I just interrupted his day and thought he was the police department. And so we did a one-to-one, and because of that conversation, we connected, and I actually ended up doing business with him in his legal practice. I think this is a great story on multiple levels. One is it truly is a small world. What are the statistical chances of me connecting with somebody who's part of my organization by accident, simply because I called a number that happened to be a different telephone area code and got him?
Right.
And what are the chances that I would have just met him a few months earlier? I mean,
yeah,
that's like movie fodder, right? That's like something that would happen in a movie as something strange. It's also, I think, a story about recognizing an opportunity when it arises and taking action. So Frank jumped on the opportunity with the quick thinking and asking for a meeting. And I was more than willing to do that under the circumstances. So here's another terrific aspect of the story. It was a really good one-to-one. I enjoyed talking with him, and we found some overlapping areas of interest. In self-development training, I referred him over to Jack Canfield, who's a longtime friend. And most of you know, I married Jody, who works for Jack, and didn't know Jody at the time, but I years later married Jody and met her working for Jack Canfield, and so I referred him to a Jack Canfield training. I should double check. I bet she sold the training to him. I never thought to ask her. I'm going to ask her if she sold the training to him, because I know he called. Anyway, he expressed a lot of interest in the BNI Foundation, and I was also able to connect him with the right person for more information on the foundation. And I ended up doing some business with him. I think it's a win-win-win story. It's a fantastic example of you just never know how you may connect with people and then take the opportunity to do something when you do make an unexpected connection. So to him, I say, well done. I'm sorry I called you. I didn't mean to bother you, but you jumped on that opportunity, and it was a pleasure spending some time with you. And I think, just to wrap up, if you've got any thoughts, I'm happy to hear them. But just to wrap up, this story about accidentally connecting with a BNI member in another state because of the wrong phone number shows how close the degrees of separation can be. The unexpected result reinforces the message that really truly is a small world after all. And that message can inspire us to be open to the possibilities of new connections in our life. I'd love for you, if you're listening to this podcast or reading the transcript, I'd love for you to share your stories about interestingly unusual and surprising connections that you may have made in your lifetime. Please put them here on BNI Podcast. Any last thoughts?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that it might be a pretty good example of synchronistic energy that happened. I mean, you have to be a kind of a believer in that concept that things happen for a reason.
Yeah. Well, the older I get, the more I believe in that kind of synchronicity, and to some extent, paying attention, because he was in the middle of something when I called him. He could have easily said, "Look, you got the wrong number," and hung up without thinking about the name I just gave him. And so, he was paying attention. I accidentally called him. There is a synchronicity in all of that taking place. And and he and I ended up doing business for a number of years as a result of that accidental phone call.
Well, I want to just also say one more thing. which is that you told me before we started recording today that there are now 328,000 members in BNI as of today.
Yeah, as of today's date, there are over 328,000 members in more than 75 countries around the world.
That's
It is
impressive.
humbling to me as what this has become.
Yeah, so you found one of them.
I did. I accidentally, of the hundreds of millions, the billions of people in the world that I could have called, I happened to accidentally call a BNI member, which I think is hysterical.
That is so funny. Okay, well, that's great, Ivan. Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much.
Priscilla.
That's a really fun podcast. This podcast is sponsored by MisnerAudioprograms.com. These audio programs will provide you with the tools and the inspiration to powerfully enhance your BNI experience. So check out the great material that's available to you at MisnerAudioprograms.com and use the promo code IVAN50 for 50% off of everything. All of the proceeds go to the BNI Foundation. Thank you so much for listening. This is Priscilla Rice, and we look forward to having you join us again next week for another exciting episode of the official BNI podcast.